G'day, watch this.
For 40 years now, we've been properly surveying and talking to our visitors, and the major reason they come to the Hunter is because of its rural ambience. That keeps coming back to us all the time. The end of last year, our local wine industry association expelled AGL as a member. First time in 150 years of the association that a member's ever been expelled. And that night I asked their boss, what was the worst case scenario? And he said, a coal seam gas wellhead every 500 to 900 metres along Broke Road. Now, if you've got 3 million people a year coming, largely because of the rural ambience, you don't have to be a member of Mensa to work out what that's going to do to your tourism numbers. And of course, if we lose half of those numbers, then we start to lose our infrastructure. The major developments of Hunter Valley Gardens, the vintage golf course, the accommodation that goes with them, Crown Plaza, those big developments that are the ones that are employing and the ones that are spending money marketing, and this is all private capital that's built these, they start to close. And once that closes, then you're on the slippery slope to the bottom. So I'm not sure that there's a place for an industry to come in for 20 or 30 years and to largely destroy what's there. When it's over, to walk away and say, there you are, you can rebuild and start again if you like. That doesn't leave me with a lot of hope for the future. Because you lose not only the people and the visitors, you lose the good staff that you've brought in, you lose that competency and skills that you've built in an industry, and that you have to go and start again. I think the other thing that's happened in our district in the last year or two since the advent of coal seam gas potentially coming into the region is that development has gone on hold. No one's actually going to spend any major capital. We badly need a 1,000-seat convention centre. Badly need it. We're losing potential bookings almost weekly out of the district. And that's the stuff that lets us grow and employ more of these kids. They're not going because there's no security of the future. There's no security of tenure, but there's no security that the growing tourist business will still be there. And so, you know, once you stop developing, you stop growing, the next thing that happens is you go backwards. And if you don't have confidence in your area, then it's not going to go ahead. We're going to go back. And that's unfortunately through no action, no fault of the operators that are affected. We're told often that tourism and wine and mining can coexist. I think that's probably one of the greatest lots of rubbish that's ever been published. There's no tourism development that operates in the Singleton, Muswellbrook, Denman triangle. And I defy anyone, no matter how good they are at it, to start and maintain a sustainable tourism industry in that area. It's just not going to happen. The horse studs have moved north. Everyone's gone to get away with it. The science of coal seam gas I'm not going to go into. I'm not qualified to do that. But my major concern for the Hunter in that area is salt. There are 14 capped and registered bores in our area. They've got salt levels of between 8 and 14,000 parts per million. You put that on your lawn, it's dead for 50 years. I use the analogy of when the Romans had finished pulling down Carthage, stone by stone, they ploughed 100 acres in with salt, so that where that city had been couldn't sustain civilization for at least another 100 years. That's something that we don't need at home. When you've got someone as eminent as Dr. Wedge Paradise, who's head of the Hunter Valley Research Foundation and ex-chairman of the Catchment Management Authority for the Hunter Valley, saying that he doesn't believe there's room in the Hunter River salinity trading scheme for the salt that'll be generated from coal seam gas, then I get concerned. Someone who's worked there in that area all his life, is someone that you have to listen to. I got told by the AGL guy that they would bring in a reverse osmosis unit. And I said, well, that's terrific. You've taken the water out, but still, what are you going to do with the salt? Chuck it down a gully. Water quality, of course, is important for everyone and in everything. The other major, I suppose, concern is there'll be conditions placed on these mines. At the moment, the EPA in the Hunter Valley doesn't have anywhere near enough staff to monitor the conditions that are on the existing coal mines. So if we suddenly open up coal seam gas as well, who the hell's going to monitor those conditions? And if they're not monitored properly, then unfortunately it becomes too late. But if you've had salt spilt down a good creek, sorry's not good enough, because it won't repair it. The damage can be permanent. What we really look for out of all of this is security of tenure on our land, security of our business going forward, and security of being able to make investment decisions that'll grow our economy and grow our local area. That's what we're looking for the New South Wales government to do for us. We don't believe that coal seam gas belongs there. There are plenty of places to do it. But doing mining in high productive area, agricultural land, tourist usage, areas that are successful at the moment, it beggars belief, it doesn't make sense. I have a friend at Moree who said to me, I've had Santos on my property for 8.5 years. He said, he was a senior rural scientist I went to university with. He said, I monitor my water myself more than they do, and I don't have a problem. He said, every time I get bogged, the Santos blokes there to pull me out, and I've got an income stream negotiated that means I never have to worry about flood, drought, fire ever again. My whole agricultural operation is underpinned by what I get from Santos from my gas. So there are places that it probably works. It's just ours isn't one of them. I don't particularly want to wake up to that truck driving through my vineyard every morning. Other thing I suppose that it does for us is, I've got this title that my great-grandfather got in 1858 to the land, and I reckon that's my land. I have and my family have a close association with that. I know there's a bit of it that's probably the best bit of white wine country in Australia. Now, I've now really got no control over that. We don't have control of what can happen on or under that land. There's talk of this new gateway proposal talking about, but even under that, I've got a panel of experts who are going to decide what can happen to my land. Now, I'm going to say to them, I actually know a lot more about it than you do, and I don't believe your decision. I did say to the Prime Minister last year at a function, she said, what rule have you got left to protect you from the invasion of coal seam gas? And I said at the end, there's only one rule, and that's Rule 303. And she obviously had never seen Breaker Morant and had no idea what I was talking about. So I suppose at the end of this, we want to keep coal seam gas out of our area because it puts existing strong and sustainable industries at risk. We need the New South Wales government to fix the legislation. The legislation that governs it now is old, it's inappropriate, it's got more to do with undersea exploration than it has. That needs to be fixed. I've got to applaud them for the work that's being done in strategic land use assessments, and that's certainly a step in the right direction. I know they've been criticised for not doing it quickly enough, but if you're doing strategic land use assessment, you don't want to rush it. It's got to take the time and it's got to be done properly. But I think we do need our governments of today to actually have a bit of clear vision, to show us some clear leadership, and to show us that the interest is in a bit more than getting re-elected. That there is a bit of leadership and proper leadership for the country that'll take us forward. Then we might follow them and come back to being the greatest country in the world again. So thank you.